So, while I was gone, another thing that I missed in the plethora of Overwatch news was Symmetra's buff. Symmetra finally got buff, which, I'll be honest, she kind of needed. To my opinion, she was the worst character in the game. No exceptions. I mean, her main fire did really shitty to mediocre damage, her alternate fire was fucking impossible to hit and took ages to charge, her turrets took fucking ages to recharge after they were destroyed, her ult was extremely situational, and her shield for 25 health was nothing. It got destroyed by like almost everything. I think even a soldier shot, a current soldier shot can destroy that. One soldier shot. I mean, not one, but like 2 or 3 probably. Like it's so minuscule, and soldier's damage is way more than that, along with every other DPS and every other tank has way more damage than 25 health can accommodate for. So in saying that, a lot of the things I've just mentioned there, they've fixed or changed in some way. Let me get straight into it. Firstly, their change to the turrets was entirely needed. They needed to have them way faster, and it was kind of retarded that you could only have 3 turrets on standby at a time, mainly because it meant that when you started the game, you weren't allowed more than 3 at a time set up, or else you literally had to wait there the entire minute beforehand. That just kind of made her start on a defensive point terrible, because she had half as much effectiveness as she should have with the turrets she has. Now that she can load 6, it literally doubles the damage. It doubles the effectiveness and the effective range she has on a defensive point. It is extremely important to have all 6 turrets to be used somewhere on a certain point so they can be used to a certain effectiveness. As well as that, her 25 health shield needed to be gotten rid of, or at least buffed in some way, and they sort of did, sort of didn't. The way they changed it was they basically made her new shield a pseudo Rhine shield. Basically, it floats forward and it basically acts as a Rhine shield, except you're not in control of it, it kind of floats by itself. In a way, it stacks with Ryan's shield because it's pretty hard to destroy, meaning that it gives the Ryan a second or two to kind of recharge his shield a little bit, or it gives the Zarya a second or two to kind of get her to cool down back on her shields so she can set up everything again. It's kind of like just a couple seconds of a break for your teammates while your opponents have to push back a bit because they can't really shoot through it. It actually, if used properly, can be used very effectively, almost as effectively as a Ryan shield, except not really the same thing because you have no real control over it apart from the direction it's going. The reason I said they kind of buffed her health is because of the way they changed her ult. Her ult now works in a way that you can change it from the teleporter, which was extremely situational as an ult, as in it only worked on the first point and nowhere else, to now you can have it as a shield, basically a 75 permanent health shield that constantly regenerates itself, and if you place it down, everybody near it gets 75 additional health. This makes it so that you can actually have an ult on the final point that works in some way. Before this, you had to change from Symmetra on the final point because a teleporter was entirely useless to have if you were on the last point. It made no sense to have it. They also buffed her alternate main fires, giving her main fire a little bit more damage and her alternate fire making it charge much faster. This is a majority of the changes they made. Basically, they made almost everything she does better. They made everything more usable and much less situational, made a much less chance of shit going wrong for Symmetra, and the second shit goes wrong for Symmetra, she has nothing to do. Like, when you watch an old Symmetra playing a game, literally they were just chilling. They were just trying to wait for their turrets to do something. Now they can do a lot more. Like, if you watch a proper Symmetra play, they spam their alternate fire a lot, because they're able to now. Because it charges so much faster, you can fire it so often and do so much damage in the general direction of your opponent, as well as firing that pseudo Rhine shield, making it so that you have a serious amount of pressure on a certain area. Combine that pressure with the zoning area pressure you have from the sheer amount of turrets. Like, for example, on Anubis, everyone always goes left into the main room. If you fill that room with turrets and then spam Rhine shields and alternate fires into that room, they can't do anything. They actually can't do that much against you because the Rhine shields protect your turrets somewhat, your alternate fires do constant spam damage, and your turrets, people underestimate how much the turrets do. The turrets do a ridiculous amount of damage. I am convinced, as well as that they probably buffed the turret damage in some way, because the slowing effect as well as the damage that it causes to anybody it hits is stupid. It makes it so the damage caused to the character is actually massive. And the more turrets that are on one person at a time, the faster their health gets melted. If a DPS goes into a room full of 6 turrets and they don't shoot more than one of them like immediately, they die straight up. They're just dead. They can't get out fast enough from the pressure, and the turrets will literally melt off their health. So, in saying that, the reason I'm happy about this is because I actually kind of like Symmetra. I was kind of sick of getting Symmetra legendaries and realizing that they were kind of useless because I can never really play Symmetra, because I've always enjoyed her. She's always been a really cool character to play because she's so different. Like, She's considered a support, but she doesn't really heal. She's considered sort of damagey, but she's not really. She's kind of just in the middle. She's a utility character with no real other use outside of that, which makes her kind of cool. If anything, this edition makes her more usable. She's still extremely situational, and you cannot use her on attack even close to the same effectiveness you can use her on defense, or really on King of the Hill maps that well. But the effectiveness she has on defense is now the way she's meant to have it. Symmetra was meant to have a ridiculous amount of damage on defense, and now that she has that, she can finally be used to the effectiveness she was meant to be used. I feel like this buff should have happened a long time ago. Symmetra spent a long time being not really used by anybody and kind of being terrible. But now that she has the buff, she's definitely a much better Torbjorn in a lot of ways. Like, Torbjorn only gets one turret, doesn't provide a slow, and really provides no area pressure, while Symmetra, and a new Symmetra with all the new bells and whistles and shit, provides her with all kinds of new ways to pressurize an area from an attacking team. Not to mention providing a lot of support for your teammates by providing a teleport on the first point and a massive health boost on the second. Because 75 health is a lot more than 25 health. 75 health is actually palpable. That's a McCree shot, which, let's be honest, a McCree shot is quite a lot of damage. So in saying that, I am extremely happy they finally fixed Symmetra. It's nice not to have everyone playing DPS and screaming it out in your ear if you try to play Symmetra on any defense map at all, because everyone thinks that Symmetra is terrible. And despite Symmetra's buff, people still kind of vote you for playing her, but I think this will cool down a bit. People will prove their worth as Symmetra players, and slowly but surely, people will be like, oh, this guy's playing Symmetra. Maybe he'll be good, and maybe he can carry us, because now Symmetra can provide a lot more area pressure. Anyway, tell me what you think about the Symmetra buff. Personally, I think it was entirely necessary and should have happened a long time ago, but I guess Blizzard are busy with making cards or something. But in saying that, I'll see you next time, and have a nice day.